What's up, guys? Today we're talking about how to wholesale real estate part-time, specifically to those of you that have full-time employment. I get it. Rick, how can I get started in wholesaling without actually walking away from my job? And here's the really cool part, guys, is I live this mantra. This is how I started out wholesaling. So without further ado, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it and all the questions you're going to have to ask yourself. So the first thing we have to understand is, like, what is our goal? So if we talk about a goal and say wholesaling is the ends to your mean, and say you have a full-time job, maybe you got part-time, but let's just use full-time because a lot of you are restricted by that. Rick, how do I know what to do? I do my job. When do I know it's time for me to leave the job? And like so on. So let me simplify this, okay? So if you say you made $75,000 a year, that's your current salary. Should be black and white, guys. This is how you know when to leave your job. It's very simple. When you approach this number right here, 75, through wholesaling, you're going to hit a threshold. And what's your threshold? The question is your $75,000 a year job hurting your wholesaling business? It's easy to answer in the beginning because it's not. Like, that's why we're looking to do this. But say I get into wholesaling and say by month 10, I'm already at like 70 grand, 70K. That's a good sign. You should probably quit your job. But let's be brutally honest. If you earned absolutely $0 wholesaling right now, don't leave your job. It's a common sense thing. You got to pay for groceries. You got to pay for bills, utilities. God knows we got to keep that heat on. A lot of people ask me when to leave their job. It's simple. When your job is killing your wholesaling careers when you leave it. In the beginning, you're going to have to strike a balance. Most of you starting at zero, whatever you're making, put your salary number there. And once this number starts to grow, and here's simply how I do it. My first deal, 10,000. Shade that sucker up. I did another one, another 10,000. I did another one that was 30K. So now I'm at 50K. Much easier to leave your job when this is going up instead of zero. Once I know my job gets in the way of my wholesaling, it's game on. And until you have that problem, don't even consider leaving your job. It's just the truth. The honest to God truth is most of you are staying with your job because you have obligations. So when I first started out, let me show you my obligations. And everyone's always like, oh, Rick, it was so easy back in 2003. Different time, different day, guys. What you guys have accessibility and information, training, and tools. Back then, there was no training, no tools, absolutely no information, and no guarantee you were ever going to make it. So here's what I had. I had a big fat mortgage. I had a wife, and I had 2 small kids. I don't know about you, but I had over 300K in debt on top of my mortgage, and I was wondering, how the hell am I ever going to dig out of this hole? So if you're in this predicament, I got out of all this. How long did it take, Rick? It took me 8 months. The first 4 months was horrible, and honestly, I wanted to quit wholesaling almost every day. So I'm here to walk you through on how to get through this. So at the first point, you have to make a decision. Where are you and what are you trying to fix? And then figure out what you make a year and figure out at what point do I leave my job for this wholesaling. And here's the best part about it, guys, is I let wholesaling predict that. Meaning the actions I take towards wholesaling, as soon as I start getting assignable contracts, I earn money, is I'm getting closer to my goal of being able to leave my job. And when I do that, I can do anything I want. And I know if I don't get contracts, I don't talk to people, and I don't make offers, that I'm never going to be able to leave my job. I don't know about you, but like that was the most horrifying thing in the world to me. So I want you to understand this. No, it's not pre-recorded. The whole thing is live. So why am I talking about this topic? Because most of you do have jobs while you're doing this. So let's just be brutally honest and let's walk through it. So now I want to walk you through the progression, and then we're going to go through every possible way to get a wholesale deal. And I don't care if you've got 10 minutes in your day or you've got like 24 hours available. You all are going to have to make decisions accordingly, and you have to do it. So let's start with number one. So let's just pretend you've already done, hey, here's how much I make. As soon as I replace that salary, I'm going to quit my job and go in wholesaling full time. Let wholesaling make that decision for you. You don't just go, the worst thing you do is go, I'm just going to quit my job and just try this wholesaling. I already know how that's going to work out. Now, if you're super young and you live at home with your parents, you have other options, but you have to take them brutally seriously. You have to go all in when you do it. So the first thing we have to consider right off the bat is going to be your time budget. Now, I'm going to do something today which I normally don't do. I'm going to draw graphics, which is, there's a reason I'm not an artist. And you guys can make fun of me in the comments and do whatever you want. But the first thing is we have to do time allocation. And let's just like hands on a clock, you get so much time in a day. And the problem is when you guys are working is this is hard. And the clock just spins round and round, and you got to do clock management. So if you are working a job, the first thing you have to do is figure out how much time do I have allocated towards wholesaling. Now here's the really cool time. How much do I actually work? I can't spell. Actually. Oh boy, do you ever just have, I think it's so cold out. How much do I actually work? So the question is, if you work an 8-hour day, which God knows I did, mine more like 10 or 12, is how many hours in that day did I actually work? Well, it was 8 hours, so many hours. Bull, it's crap. The average employee, if they have an 8-hour day, they work approximately 2 hours. Do you understand that? So let me do some math here, because that's actually a little staggering when I see it, but I know that's the number. So they only use about 25% of their time. So now we have to break it down. So I'm going to take in my job. I was a sales guy, and I went around and signed up accounts for my company, and I kept everybody happy. And then here's what I did is I did a lot of what we call sales calls. And while I was on sales calls, I had this free time to use my phone. Okay. And then what I could do is I had lunchtime, and I had what I call in between hours. So the only time I could really use my phone to talk with motivated sellers when I had a job was my lunchtime. I had like a 45-minute window here, and I tried to schedule everything between 12 and 1. And then I had in between times, usually I would have about an hour to hour and a half in between all my meetings. And that was usually between 2 and like 5. So I could get all my calls and set up, and then I knew after 6 p.m., sometimes 7, I was wide open. And this is what I had to work in. So I had my lunchtime, I had in between short calls, and then this is the after hours, which what I would use for meetings, writing contracts, meeting with sellers. Now, when I did this, I didn't do it virtually because I didn't know how to do it. I just did it locally. So you can mishmash, you can switch it up if you're doing it virtually or locally. It doesn't really matter. Now, the next part is, what about so that was Monday through Friday. This is what I had. Okay. Now, Saturday, I had to work pretty much every other Saturday for a half a day. So my Saturdays were set from 1 p.m. to about 8 p.m. And then Sundays was whatever I could get done. And so if you're asking me, Rick, how do I allot a schedule if I'm working? It's simple. You all know the types of jobs you have. Some of you guys are stuck behind desks. Some of you guys work remotely. I will tell you, if you work remotely and you work virtually, this is fun. I don't care what, I didn't have that luxury when I did it. So here's how I equated it. 45 minutes. So I would get about roughly 2 hours a day. And then I would have 4 hours at night. And then on the weekends, I would have about another 8 to 10 hours total. And so that gave me a total of, let's see, that gave me about 16 hours a week to work on my wholesale business. And that's the first part of the equation you guys are going to have to figure out. How many hours do I have to commit to wholesaling without driving myself nuts, with feeding my kids and taking care of everyone? The reason why you guys are keeping your job is because you're responsible. And I commend you for that. A lot of reckless people just quit it, try wholesaling, and we know how that works out. But we have to go through the time budget is going to be the first one. Everybody with me on that? If you got a question, put it in there. I'm just giving you the thought process because I've been through this. So, and you guys think I'm kidding about this weekend? You make happen whatever you can make happen here. This is when I clean up everything. This is usually when I wrote a bulk of my contracts. Everything else was underwriting, qualifying, disqualifying, doing everything. But most of my 16 hours was right towards there. So we have to understand that. The next one is you're going to have to choose your market. Now, I told you could do this locally or you could do this virtually. Now, please don't make me do a graphic of the United States because that's about the worst I can do. I can do Florida, a little bit of Texas, California, something like this. That's pretty good, huh? So which market am I going to do? Am I going to do here? Am I going to do there? And am I going to do here? I don't know. It's completely up to you. But I will tell you this. You have to choose your market. You have to choose your market. What are the two biggest things we look for? Number one, average population. I like 100K plus. And then your average median price. Usually want it under 3.25 to maybe 340. So the average in the US is around 410. US average. We want to stay at the lower price points. So you want to be under your average median price with a population of 100K, maybe 75, but the better the population, the more cash buyers you're going to come across. So you have to choose your market. If you're going to do all this and not choose your market, you have to figure out your time allocation and your market. Yes, you can do it locally. You can do it virtually. Or guess what? You can do it both. That's my favorite way to do it. Rick, I'm in San Francisco. How am I going to do that? Do it. Like if you know the market, all real estate is what? All real estate is local. It doesn't matter where you are in the United States. It is all local. So you have a competitive advantage if you're in your local market, but you might have a capital issue. If you can identify and find a great deal, either somebody bird dogs you or helps you find it, you can kill it in wholesaling. But how do I do that? The only way you're going to get a deal in San Francisco, you got to really know the local market. So if you're born and raised there and you know everything about it, I have 2 friends in San Francisco. They only do a couple deals a year, but man, do they make a lot of money. $500,000 to $600,000 is the average profit margin. So everybody get me on this, on number 1 and number 2. I got a heck of a lot more to go through it because we actually got to figure out how to do these deals. So awesome. Okay, let's keep moving on here. These whiteboards really make me work here. I don't know why T-Mobile should be paying me to use their color pen, but it's easy to see. Okay. So what do you think, guys, step 3 is going to be? Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how this works. So once I know my time budget, I know my plan, how long before I just determine I'm going to leave my job and do wholesaling full-time, I've chosen my market. I dropped my pen. Is the next one, number 3, you're going to have to be what we call a list ninja. Rick, what do you mean by that? Well, when you go into wholesaling, you can't just, a lot of people think you're just going to like walk down the aisle in your grocery store and try to find people that need to sell you a house. And technically you work, but that's not wholesaling. That's what realtors do. I don't teach that. Hand out my business card here. I buy everybody's house. No, because you got to be careful. If you ask for stuff like that, you're going to get problems that you don't even want. You have to be specific. So in wholesaling, we come up with a list. What are we looking for? Remember, I'm looking for people off market, direct to seller that need to sell. If that's the truth, I got to find the right list. What kind of list are we looking for? People with problems. You want problems. But Rick, how do I find problems? I don't have ESP. I don't have anything like that. It's simple. If you want to look for a fire, do you look for the smoke or do you look for the fire first? You know the answer to it. You got to find the smoke. Smoke rises. Hot air rises. It plumes up. You can't miss it. And if you know that, then you've got to find lists that people are going to have problems with real estate. And I want to find the smoke. The smoke is the list. Do you understand that? That's why I'm trying to teach you. It's a metaphor. If I go out and just look for fires, it's physically impossible to do. So I'm going to go look for the smoke. How do we do it? We teach you how to pull every type of list possible. Don't worry, I'm going to go into details on the list. We teach you a thing called government lists. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I'll show you how it works. And it's funny because other people are finally figuring out how me and Zach actually built a legitimate wholesale business. We find problems and then we go market to these people. I know it's like mind riveting and like mind blowing, but that's just simply how we do it. When I say ninja, you've got to become really good. You should know every way to pull a list. You should know every type of problem people have in real estate. And you should make a list of all the different types that you should get. And the one key thing is you're looking for problems. Remember, guys, to get great wholesale deals, we have to solve problems. Am I going to solve a problem by just buying some realtor's listing off MLS? No, you only solve the realtor's problem and you solve the seller's problem by making the highest offer. That has nothing to do with wholesaling. Nothing to do with, don't even bother doing that. You don't want to miss. So with this one, I'm going to teach you to become a list ninja. Now, a list ninja is going to have these groovy little masks. Why? Because you're going to have to be wildly resourceful as a list ninja. And I'll show you how to do it. You've got to think. I don't know if that, it's not a beret. It's not a hat. You know, the bandana type of deal. List ninjas, I was always thinking ahead of time. The reason I came up with list ninjas a long time ago, I was very short on money. And so when we pulled the list, it was about 25% a lead. And say I would only have like $300 or $400. So I would literally spend like 8 to 10 hours trying to figure out every filter to give me the best odds possible. And you know what? Every time I changed my filter, I saw if the list grew or it shrunk. And I became really good and I identified the key areas of how I'm going to create a list. So I'm going to go over a list, but you have to be a list ninja. If you're not this guy or this gal, you have no shot. Oh, Rick, I'm just going to go to MLS and find expired listings. That's not a list ninja. It's like has nothing to do with it. You're going to have to think outside the box and find the problems. The good news is we have all these lists for you. You don't have to overthink it, but we have to start with a list. A list, so you guys understand, is nothing more than a prospect. We also used to call them suspects. Now, if you're in the criminal world, you know what a suspect is. So for someone to be viable in your wholesaling business, they either have to be a prospect or a suspect, and then they become what? A lead. After they become a lead, what do they become? They become an appointment, and then it becomes a contract. But guys, I'm telling you right now, a lot of you want to go from list to contract. But I'm telling you, if you don't incorporate the list ninja mentality, meaning how do I get the best list humanly possible, you're going to struggle on this one. This is number 3, list ninja. Get it, got it. You've got to understand it. Does everybody understand? If you just pull average list, you're going to get crappy results. End of story. Rick, I pulled the MLS list for expired listings. Great. Rick, I pulled the for sale by owners. I didn't get a deal. What part of ninja do you not understand on that? You think a ninja just going to pull like a regular list? No, they're going to go get lists nobody else can even get a hold of. And they're not going to cry and like moan about it the entire time. So if you understand you have to be a list ninja, let's keep going because this builds all the way. I promise you, I'm going to give you everything you need on here. Sorry about that. The next one, number 4. And this is one of my crazy ones. We talk about resources all the time. Right? So what are resources in wholesaling? It's simple. It's tools. It's things we use to get to the point we want to get. We all understand what resources is. Most of you equate resources to what we call tools, which don't worry, I'm going to go into every tool you need for wholesaling. The ones that actually work. So if you know resources are tools, most of you equate tools to what? You got to have capital and money. And this is true to a point. But this is where in number 4, you've got to understand, and you've got to hear me out, is resources are one thing. Anybody can get a resource, pay for it. It could be a software, it could be a list, it could be a consultation, it could be anything. Most of you think everything wraps around money. But what if I told you this? This is the key difference to anyone who wants to get started in wholesaling. Resources will help, but I will tell you, if you take this and turn this into what we call resourcefulness, all this does is take the tools, and then this is how you use those tools. Does everybody understand this? I'm going to give you perfect examples of this. See, most of you are all solely focused on resources. And don't get me wrong, the resources will make your life easier. But if you apply resourcefulness to the resources, it means you're taking the tools, and the key word here is how. How do I use them effectively to get wholesale deals? Let me give you an example. Perfect example here. Most of you guys are going to go out and get the code violation list, right? Great list. I love it. One of my favorite lists. I don't hide it from anyone, right? The code violation is a resource. Now, is it free? Some of you have to pay for it. Some of it's free. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's paid. You're paying for time or money one way or the other. Now, how we use this is going to be the key difference. So if I go in a code violation and says, Miss Susie Smith, can I please have all the open code violations for Port St. Lucie for the last 30 days? And she's going to go, Rick, I don't know how you're going to use that information. And we have privacy policies here. And I really, at this point, I cannot release that information. So the answer is no. So I just took a resource. She said no. I didn't know how to do it. Now, what if you use Rick's technique and overcome resistance with what? Persistence. This is an example of resourcefulness. Now, if you go in and you just say, they say no, and then you're done, honestly, you are going to suck so bad at wholesaling, I don't even have to teach you the rest, because They are trained to say no because they're just trying to discourage you. Once they say no, the question is, how resourceful are you going to come back to them? And say, Miss Susie Smith, I appreciate you're doing that job. There's got to be a way to get me access to that public information. Who can I talk to, or who can I put at ease to get this information? So as a tax-paying citizen, I can get access to the code violations so I can help out some homeowners. That's it. I'm not going to run her over. I'm not going to threaten them with a FOIA. I'm just going to rephrase my question, and I'm typically going to use the resourceful thing, overcome resistance with persistence, because anybody can go in and ask for a list. Anyone can tell you no on the list. The question is, how resourceful are you? Are you willing to walk through a brick wall? Not physically, like to hurt yourself. Can you mentally do that? Because if you can't figure out resourcefulness, nothing I teach you going forward will make sense. Because a lot of you go like this. Rick, I went down to the city office and I asked for the code violation. They want to meet with the city attorney. That's crazy. I'm scared. I don't want to do that. Here's what you simply say. Is he or she available now? Or do you want me to come back in an hour? Like, remember, you have to overcome it. They're trying not to give you the list, trying to try every excuse possible. Don't give it to them. So rehearse. If you screw up and walk away, you come back tomorrow and you do it again. The key is every time you get knocked back down, you get told no in this business, you stand back up and you go back stronger. You can't do the opposite. Oh my God, they're beating me down. It's so painful. Guys, I chase down 9 different types of government lists. I never get 100% compliancy, but I get more than the average person because I am prepared. I understand resourcefulness will get me things for those of people that just don't want to do it. People have resources and don't have resourcefulness. I will destroy them every time in wholesaling. And honestly, this is the big difference in wholesaling. People can have any tools you want. You just got to learn to talk to people when you don't get what you want. Most people will tell you no right off the bat. And they're hoping you just go away. Did you know if you overcome 2 objections in the average person, you will eventually get what you want? Why? Just try it. I've been doing it for 25 years, and I'm just telling you, 22 years in wholesaling, and I'm here to tell you, this one alone, resourcefulness, will make or break you in wholesaling. End of story. I don't care what you say. You've got to do it that way. So let's move on to number 5. Resourcefulness, guys. I can't stress this enough. And it's like, can I teach resourcefulness? Yes, it can be taught. freewholesaling.com. But you got to be willing to do it and grasp the concept and go forward. Because if you just get resources and you don't have resourcefulness, that's where most of you get killed. So, oh my goodness. So let's go on to number 5. So now that we have that, this is now your attack phase. Don't worry, I'm going to go into detail in the second part. We haven't even gotten the second part. Attack your marketing medium. Now, I want to see something because I wrote a bunch of stuff on the backboard too. 1. Now, do you guys know there's only about 10 ways to chase a customer down in wholesaling? Did you know that? There's only 10. There might be 1 or 2 more, but like, let's make sure everything's legal. There's only 10. I'm going to give you every one of them. You can make a decision which one you want to do. Do not overthink this. When I started out, I did not have time to do cold calling. It was not in my budget. Number 2, I didn't have the guts to do it. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I was just scared. I didn't do it. And I decided to do door knocking, which in my opinion, if I think about it, that was 10 times worse than actually doing the cold calling. But there's only 10 ways. Don't sit here and kill yourself over that. Now, a lot of you guys are going to be limited in capital, and you're going to be forced to do it techniques. Some of you are just going to use your hustle muscle. And more importantly, those of you that have full-time jobs, you're going to have what we call time restraints. When I get to the second part of our equation today, I need you to fill in this. How much capital do I have? It could be 0. How much hustle muscle am I willing to use? Meaning how strong. I'm not even going to try to build a muscle because it won't even work. I'll do big leg muscles here. How's that? And then the other one is time strain. How much time do I have? How many hours in a day? So when we go to attack our marketing meeting, some of you guys are going to have personal biases. That's okay. But some of you, I have no money. I don't like to hustle. I have my time restraint stuck. I don't know. Maybe wholesaling is not for you. But no, Rick, I have some money. I don't know how to use hustle muscle. Will you show me? And time restraint, I got about 4 hours a day. Perfect. Now we have a plan. See, most of you come to me and Zach, and you're trying to like reverse engineer, like trying to figure it out. I'm just telling you, go back and watch today's video because I'm walking through the 8 ways to get your master plan set. And then we show you how to attack it. But most of you are like, I don't know how much time I have. I don't know how to do this. It's simple. We have to understand that. So number 5, we're coming in, attack your marketplace. There's only 10. I'm going to share every one of them with you. You have capital, you have hustle, and you have time constraints. You have to solve that. Okay, let's keep moving here. We okay on time? Yeah, we're fine. Okay, so the next one. Ouch. Number 6. Number 6, I call this network mania. And so once again, Rick, what the hell are you talking about? I'm just talking about like getting in the wholesaling while I have a job. That's right. And you're going to have to learn how to be like a network ninja. I call it network mania. How do we network? The idea of networking is you reach out to everyone you ever know. Now, a lot of networking businesses, if you guys have ever seen somebody operate like an MLM, I'm not going to give you a course on MLM. I respect the crap out of MLM. I just don't believe in it because it's a multi-level marketing. It is a perfect way to make sure everyone gets paid in your downline while promoting the product. And the problem is there's no room for error, meaning if you don't like the product, you just get kicked out. I believe good products sell on their own, but that's another story. MLM's got networking so figured out, but the problem with MLM, in my opinion, is driven solely off money and nothing else. Now, here's the problem is, what are you going to do? Go tell all your friends at work what you do? You can't. You got to keep our mouth shut. We can't do that. So if we understand that, we have to go out and network. And we have to find people that are associated with real estate and tell them what we do. Now, keep in mind, you're going to have a tendency to let your ego take over here. Get rid of it. Because we are telling people we buy properties for cash, we solve big problems, and we sell them quickly. Do you know anybody in that situation? I'm not looking for my sister's friends, husbands, niece, nephews, grandkids, cousins. It does not work that way. Honestly, I found in the beginning, the more people I told, the more they discouraged me. So then I said, let's find people that are associated with real estate. Who do I know that owns a title company? Who do I know that's a lawyer in it? Who can help me out? Who's a realtor? Stuff like that. You're going to have to learn to network like crazy. This is going to be an opportunity to do JVs with other people. This is also a perfect opportunity to introduce yourself to other people that can actually help you out. Now, here's the key to networking. We're going to go over in the details of networking. You have to provide value first. What's that mean, Rick? Say you came to a marketing event I had. So I used to do these monthly in Port St. Lucie. Still runs, by the way. I don't run it anymore, though. And people come to me, hey, Rick, give me your cash buyers list. I got a great deal. I need your cash buyers right now. Not who are you? How you doing? These people that come and what I call just take. Put in the comments, guys, who has someone that just takes in your life? Hopefully it's not family. You all know this in business, right? They just come to, like you see them coming a mile away. You're like, oh man, I got to get out of the way. Here comes Rick. Why? If you provide people value first, you're saying, Rick, how do I provide value if I don't even feel like I have the value? I don't know wholesaling. Did you know your attitude alone is probably the best value you can give people? Have a crappy attitude, I don't care how good you are, nobody wants to work with you. Have a great attitude, it's like infectious. Everybody wants to be around you. If you don't have the skills, just have the attitude. If you have attitude and you gain the skill sets of wholesaling, you're going to hit a home run every time. Every time. Okay? So when I go over the networking, all the different ways, provide value first. To go up to someone and say, listen, how can I help you in your wholesaling business today? How can I help you in your real estate venture? What can I do to make your day better? Tell me about your family. Tell me about your great family. Tell me about where you live. Tell me what your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations are. Use the Ford method, the same thing we teach you to work with motivated sellers. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Why? Everybody likes to talk about it. That's why we do it. So does everybody understand when we network? I'm going to teach you how to network, but if you go in there and start just beating on people, understand everybody's running from you in the room because you did the exact opposite of what Rick taught you. You have to provide them value first. Okay? So we're almost done here, and then we're going to get into the real details on how to do this. The next one, we talked earlier about resources, right? What do I really mean by that? What are the tools we need? And I want to be very careful here with you guys. Is a lot of you think you need everything. And I'm here to tell you, you just need the basics. If I truly was going to break this down, I did over $1 million in wholesaling with a cell phone. Ready? A computer, and let's technically say a car, even though that's optional today. These are the minimum requirements to get started. So some of you might not have a car and you might have to borrow or do some stuff like that. Or if I don't have a car, if I'm going to be resourceful, if I'm resourcefulness, what am I going to do? I'm just going to do the business virtually. That's what a resourceful person does. Resourcefulness. You know what a person that does resources, you know what they do? They go, I don't have a car, so I quit. Okay, quit. I don't know what to tell you. Like, honestly, if that's going to be what takes you out right at the beginning, we have to understand. So understand the tools. I'm going to go over a bunch of tools with you. But I'm telling you, you have to have a cell phone. I believe you have to have access to a computer. I'm going to put access. By the way, I got people going to the public library to do wholesaling. What's your excuse? A car would be nice. I'm not going to lie to you. A car is helpful. If you don't have a car, you're going to learn to be resourcefulness, and you're going to have to go and do this virtually, or you're going to have to get help with the car, borrowing them. Okay. So now that everybody understands, because you thought I'm going to come at you with, oh God, you have to have X leads, all this stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to have it. It's not a requirement. I never said it was. The last one, which is going to be a requirement for you to get a deal in here, is going to be what I call aggressive, ready? Follow-ups. I can't stress the word aggressive enough. You're in a day and age where people can't keep their focus for 7 seconds on a freaking TikTok. And I don't know about you, but that scares the crap out of me. So we have to have aggressive follow-ups. So anything you have to do manually is eventually going to be one of your choke points. And I'm going to show you ways so you don't have to get stuck in this. But I'm telling you, if you have to manually call everyone, you have to manually send an email, you have to manually send a text, you're going to get stuck. Because remember, follow-ups, 70% of your deals are going to be in follow-ups. Why? Because real estate is a big decision. And people do not take it lightly. They do not make split-second decisions. Honestly, the real estate alone, The real estate alone is a biggest decision as death and taxes. So if you understand that, we know we have to do the 70% follow-up. So your goal with a follow-up is to stay in mind and sight of the seller. How do I do that? I have to create systems that constantly follow up. Because if you think you're going to be able to call every person, do it all the time, knowing 70% of your deals is timing, then you have to have a robust follow-up system. Now, here's the cool part. With technology today, it's never been easier, ever, than right now in 2025, and I want to show you how to do it. So does everybody understand the 8 simple points, the mindset you have to have from taking and replacing your job? And I want you to go back and replay it. Now what I want to do is we got enough time. We'll figure this out. Now we want to go into details. I'm going to hit you with every option possible. And now what you're going to have to do is refer back to the first 8 sections I went through in today's live stream. Why? Because you've got to understand, how am I going to replace my job? What is my goal? What is my time allocation? How much capital? How much hustle muscle do I have? How many hours in a day do I have? And you just keep working through it. Then you're going to choose your market. And then we've gradually, now I've gone, this is kind of general. So now what we're going to do is flip the board over and we are going to go into detail. So I got to cover some stuff up on the board so you guys don't read everything all at once. So let me figure out how I can do this, because I know everybody likes to look at everything when we do it. So shut your eyes, behave, because I don't like to distract. Okay, so don't worry, we're going to go over all of this. So before, guys, we went over everything. Uh-oh. I couldn't stick things to make it stick. Perfect. Okay. I don't think I need a marker for this, so we'll just have the red pen. So we talked about being the ninja list, and this is important. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see it. Is having a ninja list. So here's what I did is I put every ninja list up here that I would attack, especially if I got started out in wholesaling. It is imperative. Probate's my absolute favorite, highest profit level, and will make you the most amount of money, hands down. Pre-foreclosures, eviction list. Of course, my marker's not working. I'll switch over here. I'm not the biggest fan of divorce list, but some of you guys have traction off them. Liens, my favorite one, are the HOAs. Tax delinquencies, I love these. And these reports, I like to find people 2 years behind at the average median price in that market. It works well. Code violations goes without saying, one of my favorite lists. Water shutoffs, fire damage, arrest records, garage sales. I show you how to do this over at freewholesaling.com. Quick claim deeds, yes. People who do quick claim deeds, some of the most valuable information you can get. And here's the cool part. It's a rather easy list that you can actually pull up from your property appraiser's office. Just pull up all the quick claim deeds done in the last 90 days, and then you do driving for dollars. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe there's 13 up here total to get you started. Guys, it's recorded. What are you waiting for on these lists? Now, if you get 13 out of 13, you knocked it out of your park. If you even get a quarter or half of these, I'm happy with you. Remember, you're going to have to learn how to be resourcefulness. Remember, these are resources. You're going to have to apply resourcefulness to get what you want. What does that mean? It means you have to think quickly and act on your feet to make something work. That's all resourcefulness. People with resources assume the resource does everything for them. It doesn't. You got to learn how to use that resource to become effective in it. And this is so, so important. So are there any questions on the list? Because if you have a question on the list, now is the time to do it. Let me know if you have a question on the list. So Joel puts one up here. Hey, Rick, how do I overcome when a seller says, I need to look over the purchase of sale agreement with my lawyer? Now, I'm going to tell you a couple things. Number one, I would first make sure you have the seller qualified. A highly qualified seller that's motivated, that needs to sell their house, usually do not put up a lot of lawyer objections. You know who puts up lawyer objections? People who want to sell their house. Now, some people will bring it up. Here is the best line you can give someone that says, I want my lawyer to look it over. Great. Who's your lawyer? And can I get their phone number and their email address so I can send them over the information right away? What do I do by that? You are playing poker. And the reality is you're usually calling a bluff. Did you know that 95% of people in America do not work with a lawyer regularly, and they don't know what lawyer they would hire even if they had to go get one tomorrow? So for people to go out and research a lawyer, have them review a contract, lawyers don't do stuff for free. So I simply say, hey, Jude, what's your lawyer's name? Can I get his phone number and email? And I can send them that information. I sit right there and I'm ready to write, either on the phone or in person. They usually don't give you the information. Why? Because they're bluffing you. Now, does that mean? That means you got to go back and do more work, and you got to find out what's really bothering them, period. And just get past that. And by the way, I usually find out if I do, if I condition the seller, I ask them to make a decision by the end of the conversation, and that will usually snuff that out. If you don't know how to do that, go over to freewholesaling.com. Guys, most lawyers is just an excuse to buy them time. If you call them right then and they're on the spot, most of the time you're going to find out they have another objection. They just don't know how to break it to you. So try that one. It works. So Terry says, hey, Rick, which of these lists you can pull online and which ones physically work? I'm going to tell you most of these. So the ones here, I'll give you, and once again, 3,200 counties, all your counties are different. But if I'm going to get a list online, I'm just going to put ON, 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 ON. So 1, 2, 3, these 4 right here should all be online. I can't guarantee it for your county. I'm just telling you the counties I work within. You can get this. The divorce one's kind of more confidential. And then you're going to have to work on these, on either getting them on the phone or in person. They're much harder to get. I'm the first one to tell you that. So I'll go over the X leads on which ones those handle as well too. So Michael, in regards to the fires in LA, this is not a time to be marketing into them. You're just going to look sharky. Let the dust settle and figure it out, because I've learned the government has an amazing way of learning how to run interference. Even though we have a new administration, you guys have massive problems. The question is, even if they renovate these houses or they build new, which obviously they will, God only knows what the cost is going to be, because obviously the infrastructure was never there. So they're going to have to run legitimate, like, what do they call them? My God, fire hydrants. Apparently the fire hydrants there is just no water in them. So I wouldn't worry about it, because I think it's going to be a very long process, and I would just go hunt other places until the dust settles. So okay, let me keep moving here. Perfect. Awesome. So guys, these are the lists, non-negotiable. No, am I selling you a course? No, I'm telling you what you need to do. This is the course. Do you need me to have a course and charge you X amount of dollars? Pull these lists, pull what you can. This is it. This is your ninja list. This is it. This was number 1 we're talking about. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be, this is the one where most of you guys just struggle terribly in, and it just drives me nuts. So let me put this one back up here. And of course, that one does not want to stay. We'll see for a second. Now, marketing mediums right here, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I thought I had 10 on here, but marketing meeting. This is just the vehicle you decide to deliver your message to your motivated sellers in. That's it. This is the fundamentals of wholesaling. A lot of wholesalers today, I'm just going to skip this because this seems like a real pain in the butt. I'm just going to outsource it. Okay, that's fine. Where are you going to outsource it? If you're going to skip doing all the lists, and you don't want to do cold calling, you don't want to do texting, you don't want to do door knocking, you don't want to do reverse driving for dollars, you don't want to send an email, you don't want to be bothered with direct mail because you think it's old school, then you are going to have to go up to one of these three right up here. And I'm telling you, they're all computer related. And if you don't know anything about it, you're about to get what I call a schooling in hard knocks. So what this is SEO, search engine optimization, so you get ranked higher on Google. This takes time and money, and someone's got to be an expert in it. So unless you're willing to drop 1,000 hours right off the bat, you're going to have to hire someone. It's going to cost you a lot. PPC is paid per click. Very effective. You pay for keywords. Sell my house fast is a very, very expensive word depending on any major metropolitan market. Pay per click works. It's great if you have a partner that's very familiar with it, or you have an incredible history deep entrenched in converting people in wholesaling. But I'm telling you guys, this is big, big budgets. Rick, how much? I see 50 or 60 grand a month, and companies are still struggling to make profits on it. Now, they have lots of employees, they have lots of training. Do not try this on your own. I think this is a horrible idea. The other one is you can do a paid per lead. And this is a company that basically does SEO and like pay per click. And they fill out an entire lead page, and then they guarantee it's a motivated seller and you call on them. How much are those leads? They're around $400 each. Here's the problem with it. If you don't know how to convert and you're not experienced, you are going to get hurt. So an experienced person on average is doing around 15 to 20 deals. 20. So that's around $8,000 per deal. And that's an immense pressure you don't need as a starter. So this is what you get if you decide to skip all this. You're like, Rick, I don't have to deal with any of this crap. But here's the problem is all these are at what we call market price. Market price. Let me ask you this in the comments. Who likes to pay market price for anything in wholesaling? The equivalent of market price is going to MLS and paying what people list properties for. It is not in my DNA. A good wholesaler would never do this. I'm not saying these don't work. They do work. But I have big budgets and I can't even make the numbers really work. On average, if you can employ this between PPL, I don't do much with PPC, but the average person in PPL, they don't make it because that $400, eventually that $400, they used to be $30 a lead. Now they're $400. Do you know at the end of January, they're revising the law where you can't sell your own leads to other people. And so the lawyers are going to come up with some sort of hack. I'm sure they will. And that just means it's going to cost more, probably closer to $500 a lead. So that means your cost for PPL could be $10,000. And by the way, PPL are some of the lowest profit deals. Why? Because it's purely transactional. There is no emotional connection with the seller. Either you solve their problem. And don't get me wrong, I like to do deals like that. I just don't like expensive market price, and I don't like low returns. Now, if I go over and do probates, on average, I can make $36,000 per deal. And the probate maybe cost me $30 of my entire funds. Do you see where great wholesalers derive their own leads, and wholesalers that think they've hacked the system, they try to outsource it? But today's wholesaler that's transactional, that only buys deals, that doesn't want to do marketing, is what happens when PPL goes up to $800 a lead or anything like that? It's going to be really problematic for them, because what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to go find a way to get their own leads. Oh, I didn't learn how to do this. I don't know how to do this. There's a steep learning curve with this, and you got to figure this out. So let's talk about it. Cold calling. Are you going to do cold calling? Do you have the time? Do you have the resources for it? I don't know. Texting, dynamite. It still works, guys. As much as people tell you you can't cold call and text, keep in mind, these people are not wholesalers, and they want to tell you everything's illegal. Guys, we're not selling any products. You just got to reach out and find enough people. Door knocking, 100% still legal. Reverse driving for dollars, putting sticky notes on people's doors. Which ones do I like to do that with? I'll show you right now. I like to do code violations with that one. And I like to do, where is it? Where's tax delinquencies? End of story. That's where I like to do them. So guys, if you have any questions for this, this is the only way you can send out your message. Anybody other, even people who don't like me, which I'm sure there's plenty of them, which I don't know why you wouldn't like me, because I actually give you free information on how to do wholesaling correctly. This is every way you can do it. You have to decide. You've picked your market. You picked your time allocation. A lot of you overlook direct mail. Don't start out with direct mail. Start out cold calling, texting, door knocking, reverse driving for dollars, email. And then once you get 5 deals, I want you to switch over to direct mail. How do I do that? Go to mailingmastery.com. I teach you 100% for free. You guys notice the theme here is too many people are too busy trying to find a way to create a course for you. And then there's people that go out there and actually do this business, and this is what we do. Guys, there's no other way to do this. I'm sure there's one way, someone's going to tell me here. But I'm about to show you networking I'm doing on this side. So I'm not saying PPL, PPC, and SEO don't work, but there's a huge financial commitment. And honestly, if you want to skip marketing, it's really not in wholesaling. And I agree with that. People are putting on here, hey, fix and flippers tend to do it. But I will tell you, when fix and flippers have to spend $10,000 on one deal, they're going to stop doing it. And the other thing is, do you notice everyone's trying to drive you into PPC and PPL? What do you think that's going to do with the cost? Well, if it's a market price, the more demand for it, the higher it's going to go. Eventually, at some point, I'm telling you right now, all this stuff's going to get priced out to the point, if it costs me 15 grand to get a lead and I can only make 10 or 12, why on earth would I ever use that lead source? And that's where we're at. Now, a lot of people complain about direct mail, but I'm here to tell you, your average direct mail is about 60 cents a piece. If I want to get a hold of 6,000 motivated sellers, if I want to get a hold of 10,000 motivated sellers, I already know my cost is what? $6,000. Now, if I have the right experience, if I can convert people and I understand the fundamentals of wholesaling, $6 grand is an easy bet for me. It's a fixed cost. I don't pay market price. And here's the best part. It's legal. So before you start scaling, get the 5 deals, do direct mail, and then you decide if you want to add these. But I'm telling you, the problem is, are you getting a return when you put your money on these? And keep in mind, when you do any type of these, they all have to be nationwide, because that's the only way you get valued. If you want to do this, say in Charleston, South Carolina, it's going to be too small of a market and it's going to drive up the price. So pick your method. Cold calling, texting, door knocking, reverse driving for dollars, email. Do those, get 5, switch over to direct mail. I'm going to teach you how to scale. I'm not saying you can't do these, but I'm just saying you better do a calculation to see if you have the ROI there, because this is transactional. It really is not wholesaling. It is basically someone who just buys property, which are typically fix and flippers. And God bless fix and flippers. They're my favorite customers, but I'm never going to operate like a fix and flip person does. Because you know what the difference between a fix and flip person? Let me show you something really cool here. What is the true difference between a fix and flipper and a wholesaler? I'm going to tell you right off here, because this is important you understand this one. Because this really took me until about 10 years ago till I realized this. Okay, we got time. So a fix and flipper And then we have a wholesaler. What's the real difference? This marker sucks. That's the difference. So which one has resources? I already know the answer to that one. They both do. Which one is resourcefulness? And which one is a master marketer? And which one depends on markets? To make money. I want to show you this. This is black and white when I do this. I'm killing markers as we go. So if we understand this, and okay, resources, these are tools people have in their shed. Fix and flipper has it. Obviously, wholesalers have it. We're not nearly as dependent on the fix and flippers. They need constant data. The next one, resourcefulness. Does a fix and flipper have it? Very rarely. This is a requirement for a wholesaler. If you don't have resourcefulness, meaning you don't know how to do the how with resources, you're going to get killed. Because if you don't have resourcefulness, it means you can't think quickly on your feet and you can't solve problems that nobody else can, and you're not going to be able to solve it. A master marketer, dude, a fix and flipper is the complete opposite of a master marketer. This is why they go to SEO, PPC, and PPL, because they can buy it, they can outsource it. Not a horrible strategy, but eventually they're going to get priced out of the market. Is a wholesaler a master marketer? Yeah, they'll never get priced out of the market because they derive their own leads. So the shortcut that a fix and flipper or a transactional person did, it's going to come back to haunt them. Depends on a market to make money. A fix and flipper, they want good markets to make money. A wholesaler, we could care less. Why? I don't make money off the market. I make money off the opportunity. What was the last one? I think you guys get the picture here. Because the thing is, if you think like a fix and flipper or a transaction, oh, the last one. Which one of these is transactional? That's easy. A wholesaler is about a relationship. So if I don't have the ability to connect with a seller directly, I can't get a good deal. Now, decide which side of these you want to be on, because it's very black and white in today's market. If you want to be a wholesaler, you're going to have to get resources. You're going to have to be resourcefulness. You're going to have to be a master marketer. You derive your own leads. You could care less what the market's doing. Guys, I made a ton of money in 2009-10. One of the worst markets we've ever experienced. I made a ton of money. Why? Because I know how to take advantage. I look for opportunities. I don't look for markets. The more opportunities, the more money I can make. And then the last one is, do you want to be transactional or you want to be relationship based? The difference here is we can make a lot more money and be a lot more useful of our time. A fix and flip transactional person, it has to depend on markets and patterns. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of people make money on both sides. This is just my choice. I can control everything. You guys are trying to make a decision. If you want to leave your job, if you want to do wholesaling, how you're going to attack it, you have to understand this part. Okay, let's keep moving on here. I have too much to go over. So the next one, networking. We talked about being what I called a network mania, network ninja. And the first thing is you want to go to RIA meetings, real estate investor associations. Why? Because there's other people just like you there. You're going to find some of your best friends in your journey, and you can talk and learn the wholesale language. This is the place to do it. Everything real estate. Meetups. You guys have local meetups in your area. Go to these events. I don't care who sponsors them. Just go to them. JVs, joint venture opportunities. This is where they come from, right here and right there. You got to understand that. YouTube comments right here. Who's making a comment to get business on here? Let me give you an example right here. Check this out. These are people that understand. See, now you're making me scroll here. Where is it? Well, now I left a bad example. Like everybody loves Luca here. He knows how to do the comments. He works it. All he does is try to help people out because he's learned by helping people out, he can actually get business from it. ZachDiscord.com. This is probably the #1 place you can go to get JV deals. If you're not on it, get on it. Every Friday night we're on there. Every day it's active. You guys work so fast here, it's crazy. Facebook, Wholesaling Houses for Real, the largest wholesale group in the entire world, is right at your fingertips. Go in there, find cash buyers, find markets, find virtual markets you can work with. Realtors. Rick, I thought you said don't work with realtors. If you go to freewholesaling.com, I teach you exactly how to work with realtors. And here's the key with realtors, guys, is you have to understand there's different ways to work with realtors. Not every way should be the exact same way. And if you understand that, I want to show you. I teach realtors 2 different ways. Number 1, when you find someone with a crappy property, it's run down, maybe you sold to them brand new, they call you 10 years later, and you don't even know how to sell it, call me, I'll give you a cash offer, I'll pay your full commission. The other one is, if you have a listing, it's getting ready to expire, you can't get the offer, and the property needs help with repairs, call me, we'll see if we can put a deal together, and I'll pay your full commission. Those are the 2 ways I work with realtors. If you think you're going to call through MLS on every listing you have, you are just chasing down people that want to sell a property, that are not direct to seller, meaning you have a third-party agent, and they're on market. This is a bad recipe to get a wholesale deal, and I don't want you spending time there. The next one, property managers. They're typically owned by brokers and realtors. They manage 500 to 1,000 properties. 1 to 2% of these properties are vacant or they need massive repair. Offer to pay them their full commission on it, guys. You'll thank me later. It's one of my favorite ways to get it. Title companies. I can't tell you how important a title company is to your success. Title companies, in my opinion, are absolutely everything. They know who the best buyers are. They know who the best realtors are. They know who has money. They know who does hard money. They know who does private soft money. It is phenomenal. Estate sales, guys. I love estate sales. This is people that help people that accumulate a lot of crap in their property, typically when they get older. The downside, so they can actually get in their, they can get in their garage, they can get in their basement, they can get in that extra room. They call estate sales people, and they help catalog, inventory everything, and get it sold. But the real key is here is most of these properties need to be sold too. Most of them are rough properties. And I offer to find a finder's fee or a marketing fee to the estate company if I'm able to buy their house. And you can't tie it to the sale, but I'm telling you, I have done probably at least 50 deals off the 2 companies I work here just on the Treasure Coast. Why? Because I know exactly how they work. And honestly, they don't make a lot of money. And when I can pay them big fat finder's fees, they're really happy to work with me. Remember, never touch the stuff. The money's always going to be in the real estate. It's never going to be in all the little items to it. Real estate lawyers, be careful. Work through your title companies on that. General contractors, absolutely huge. If you guys are missing out on this one, you're really missing out on why they work so well. Keep in mind, most general contractors write offers, more than half of their bids get turned down. Why? Because it's too expensive. So if somebody has an $80,000 bid on a house that needs repair, say in Port St. Lucie or in Houston, Texas, what if that general contractor turned that lead over to you and you made a phone call, and if you were able to buy the house, you could give the general contractor a finder fee or make them the preferred contractor if you wind up buying that house. Remember, I look for opportunities. General contractors, there's a ton of opportunity. Probate lawyers, without saying. And the last one, guys, bird dogs. Most people overlook this. Bird dogs are people that just go out and point you in the direction of a motivated seller. What's an example of a bird dog? A bartender, a mailman. Be careful how you market. I've seen multiple mailmen get fired for delivering little pink slips for foreclosures. But bird dogs, anybody can point you in the way. The key with bird dogs is you have to have a lot of them. And remember, 1 out of about 75 to 100 work. So I love to use bird dogs. We're trying to find some ways in X Leads that we can use it and make it more manageable. Now, let's go on and talk about tools here. Freewholesaling.com, it's just a given. Like, I can't emphasize this enough to you. Where is it? Let me put it up here so y'all don't forget. I put it right there on the bottom. Everything you need is freewholesaling.com. Remember, it's within our school community, one of the largest real estate communities in, the entire world right in there. The next thing is you need to have tools to pull marketing lists. I don't care what you're using Prop, Bratstream, Deal Machine, X Leads, have something that pulls it. The next thing you have to consider is my skip trace. And is that skip trace, is that included in my deal? I don't know. Is it? Are you guys paying for skip tracing? If you are, you might want to take a look into that. The question is, can you send emails through your CRM, whatever everyone should do, and make sure you do that. Make sure you have the ability to do list stacking in it. Make sure you have AI. That stands for artificial intelligence. Honestly, guys, if you don't have artificial intelligence, you're going to get killed. It's going to come up. Honestly, AI is going to be one of the biggest things in all of 2025. This is non-negotiable. You have to have it. You have the ability to pull the comps. This goes without saying. Whatever you pull your list through your CRM, you should be able to pull the comps. It should have some sort of dialer built in, at least Google Voice or something like that. And then electronic signing. If you guys are going to do this business virtually, do you want to keep paying all these other companies $40 to $50 a month, or do you want to include it in your software? You know where I'm going with this. Conversation bots. We talked about follow-ups, right? We talked about aggressive follow-ups. How are you going to do aggressive follow-ups if you have to do everything? After you get thousands and thousands of leads, you will not be able to keep that pace. How do we do it? We find a system that will electronically allow us to follow up with anybody. And then, guys, please don't forget, within your softwares, you guys need help with dispositions now. There are tools out there that will actually help you find cash buyers for deals you have under contracts in that area. Not only will they give you the skip trace phone number and give you the email, they'll give you a list of all the properties they own. Why do you want that? Because you don't have to vet them as much anymore. And you can find out their exact price points, their exact profitability on their deals, and find you to the ideal buyer. If you can include that in your software, it's perfect. And then if you have the ability to do what we call cash buyer matching, which matches up your deal to cash buyers in that area and that criteria, click one button. That's absolutely crazy. Now, if you guys go in this, inside of X Leads, everything I put right here, all within your reach, every one of them. And why do I like this? Because before we had X Leads, I had to use 7 to 9 different services. And it broke my heart because not only was it 7 to 9 different charges on the credit card, I had to like log in, I had to download, I had to upload. It was absolutely nuts. And then remember, if you do the max one in X Leads, you can have up to 60,000 leads a month, skip trace, email, everything out the door. Why am I saying this? Because you guys now have options. Now, let's talk about the softwares that maybe X Leads might not cover. Sometimes we do calling softwares, especially if you have VAs. It allows you to record and transcribe that. We're working with X Leads to get that service for you. Google Sheets. I'm never like Google Sheets. It's free. Use it. You can store stuff in there. We can work on documents together. That's how I work with all my JV partners within X Leads and do that. Google Voice. Like it's free. Use it. I can't say that enough. And then those of you who don't have skip trace material, you don't have X Leads, you can go to cyberbackgroundchecks.com or you can go to truepeoplesearch.com and you can put it all in there. So guys, I'm here to tell you everything you need. I've gone through today, like literally. And if you're thinking about it, I want you to understand that you have to make decisions. So everything I just implored you through this, under $200, you can get everything out the door. If I had to go through and comp every one of these, you'd be looking around $1,000. So for the first time, we have everything in one place from people that actually do wholesaling. That's right, wholesaling software that can actually do everything. I know it's absolutely crazy, but guys, let's review again real quick. I'm going to run you through a crash course on the list so everybody can understand when we go to do this. Oh, you know what? I forgot one thing. No, I'm not done. I'm not done with you guys yet. I don't care what time that clock says, we are not done. So let's do this. That's a lot of erasing. What do I got on the other side? All this. And by the way, guys, this is recorded, so don't freak out. Rick's erasing everything. That's right. Freewholesaling.com. It's all in there. I do this as a reminder to you. I've literally showed you every tool, every technique you need to get started in wholesaling. And I've given you options if you want to outsource it, you want to use it in-house. But my recommendation is always be in control of your leads so you can drive what your return on investment is, instead of letting other people tell you how much you have to pay per market, because that's how we get stuck. Now, everything I taught you doesn't work unless you do what? Ready? Once you get all this stuff, I know this is going to be scary, but you ready? You're going to have to make offers. You're going to have to make offers. Rick, how many offers should I make a day? I don't care. Have a goal of making at least one offer a day. How do I do it? You need as many opportunities as possible. How do I get many opportunities? You go through everything we went through today. I went through a lot, and I want you just to, I'm going to do a quick recap. So number one, where did I put it? You got to figure out your time budget. Number two, you got to choose the wholesale market you want to do. Number three, List Ninja. Number four, you got to turn resources into resourcefulness. Without it, you don't exist in wholesaling. There's just no way to do it. Resourcefulness. Then we have the marketing medium. You have to attack. Which one are you going to use? There's only so many. You got to make a decision, and it's based on capital. It's based on time available to you and how much hustle muscle you want to use. And if you understand that, then you just got to go into network mania. And remember, the goal of networking is what? You provide value first and reach out to people associated with the real estate so you can become more familiar with the business and find out who are the people I need to get in touch to get the leads. And then we got to find out what the tools are needed. We went over it earlier on the tools. You all have X leads, you have available that. And then we got to do aggressive follow-ups. How do I do aggressive follow-ups? It's simple, guys. Aggressive follow-ups, you just use the ninja mode inside of X leads. Because what's a ninja do? They're always thinking 3 steps ahead. Remember, a ninja is someone who is full of resourcefulness. Remember, resources are people that just send an offer and never do anything. Ninja mode's me thinking of 3 different ways to send an offer: text, email, phone call, whatever it is. And then the idea is to stay in line of sight with the seller, so when they do make that decision, ninja mode will find it out. And by the way, you don't accidentally stay in someone's way. You have to have a ninja stealth mode. Inside X Leads, we have ninja mode. And by the way, guys, the ninja mode is included in your account, which would cost you $100 anywhere else, guys. Check out X Leads. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So let me check some comments here and see if we can help out the people. I haven't. So here's a common question. I've probably answered this a couple thousand times. So, and it's a legit question. So I appreciate Terry at least asking. It says, what happens on a contract deal you can't find a buyer? Are you able to back out? Sorry if it's out of line of subject today. You guys are fantastic, blessing us for sharing. How does X Leads work with Zapier? Okay, a lot of questions. So number one, go to freewholesaling.com and learn how to do wholesaling the correct way. I'm not an advocate for teaching people to throw properties under contract and hope and pray you can get it sold. The techniques I teach focuses you on people of off-market properties direct to seller that need to sell. Once we contract those properties, because we use the go for no method to get the absolute lowest price, because most of you overpay for your properties, hence why this question is on your screen right here. The only way to avoid doing it is learn the go for no method. Get the right price, because if you don't get the right price, you get instant gratification, which is usually going to be long-term nightmare for you. Once you do that, then you offer it to your cash buyers. Now, your cash buyers will tell you if it's a bad deal or not. Your job is to get the best price possible. Does every deal always work out? Absolutely not. If all your deals are failing, it means you're overpaying for every one of your contracts, which probably means you're not talking to the right people and you're not using the go for no strategy. So you have an inspection period. Most of our inspection periods are 30 days. You have to get out within that 30 days to get out of that contract. If you keep doing this over and over, you have to reevaluate. Are you actually doing wholesaling, or you want to be one of those fix and flippers without capital? Because the reality is we want to help people out. If you have a high failure rate, what's a high failure contract fallout rate? Honestly, if you have more than 35% of your contracts falling out, that's high in a local market. Now, virtually, that's probably the norm. Most people who start out virtually, about half their contracts fall out, and locally, about 75 to 85% of those contracts stick. Why? Because they know the market very well locally. And that's it. That's all you got to remember. Actually, Zapier, just reach out to our support team. They'll tell you. Most people don't do it that advanced, but yes, you can definitely work within there. So, guys, I think, let's see what else. Oh, wait, I had another one here. Let's see. Shout out to Shulit. She just lost my job, had 3 kids, 4 to 14. So I started with 2 young kids, and she just bought XLead. So remember, go back through today's video and understand you've got to attack this like head to toe. I literally just gave you every which way. Guys, if you paid $100,000 for a course, it's not going to give you as much information as I did today. Here's the difference: is you actually have to go out there and you actually have to put yourself at risk, meaning you're going to get rejected. And once you do that, you can do anything you want in this business. So guys, check us out at XLeads. I'll be back on Thursday. I was out last week. I'm back this week. And I got some really cool new videos coming out to you. We want to find as many possible ways to help you guys out to be successful in wholesaling. And I'm going to show you some of the deals we're working on, everything you're doing. Doing a lot of deals across the country. So right now, wholesaling is really picking up. This is when it turns on the third week in January of the new year. You're in 2025, guys. There's never been a better time to get started in wholesaling now. Make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com. I'll put it up one more time here. And I got it scrolling on the bottom. 100% free course, 30 years experience, and we teach you how to get started in wholesaling. Not only to get your first deal, teach you how to get you your first $100,000. If you want to be part of that community, our team, join us there. We have an XLeads mastermind, which we're getting ready to meet up in LA. Hopefully the place didn't burn down. I got to check. But I would love to meet up with you guys. If you guys want to meet up with us, make sure you join our XLeads mastermind platform. Make sure you join us on school, freewholesaling.com. And guys, I appreciate you. Go back and watch this video, because this one's near and dear to me, because this is the catapult that got me out of my job. And if you're like me and you hate your job and you hate your boss even worse, I know that's a terrible word, but we all know we have bosses like this, bosses that just tell you what to do and don't help you make your life miserable, as opposed to someone who wants to lead, which is you getting in the wholesaling. Just remember that. And when you hire people, make sure you always lead from the front. Don't push from the back. Guys, this is Rick Ginn. I appreciate you guys. Hey, listen, if you got value from the day, do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button. I can't tell you what a difference that means. And guys, make sure you subscribe to this channel. The ultimate compliment you can pay to me. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel, Rick Ginn. My son has one too, Zach Ginn. Make sure you check that out. Guys, we love you. We want to give you as many options, as many tools in wholesaling. A lot of people are telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't cold call, you can't text. I promise you, there's a course, there's an agenda behind it. It's coming to you. Like, we're getting to the point where they tell you you got to run everything through the government. It's not that way, guys. Go out, help people, solve big problems, get big paychecks. Wholesaling has freed my life. It's freed my son and countless hundreds of thousands of people I've worked with. If you're tired of being average, you're tired of being stuck, go ahead and make that change. Wholesaling, guys. I'll see you soon, man. I'll see you guys Thursday. See you later.